Greetings, everyone. I am Tim. You are watching Tabletop Terrors, which is an intellectual property, I guess. I'm on Facebook, and I was going to talk about YouTube. Point is, I'm Tim. I run the channel Tabletop Terrors with my brother James on YouTube, and this is Daily Damage. It's a stream. We do some weekdays when we can, and just talk to the community. And today's topic is going to be running a one-shot, crafting a masterful one-shot, writing the perfect one-shot, however you want to word it. So, I always start these with something called the rundown, which is as this stream shares, I tell you something that you can check out, something that you can do, and it's an easy one. Go to absolutetabletop.com, and we are going to talk about the Absolute Tabletop Holiday Sale. We rolled some dice. It is the 4D6 sale. We rolled the specific percentages to take off our products, and that's the amount we took off. So that's live. You can also get your beanies on absolutetabletop.com. So, this particular question comes from Haley M., who she messaged me, well, she put a comment on YouTube and says, "Hi, I'm an Onyx Path publishing writer and the main DM for my own gaming group. Could you give advice to DMs who do better with long-term games for the way that they can prepare one-shots with physical, mental, and social components in limited prep time?" That's where I always struggle. So, that's what I'm going to hit on today. But first, this is Daily Damage. This is interactive. Let's take it to the chat! Craig is here. Hiya, Ben Buckner. Woohoo! What's up, man? Spencer Shields is here. Sean DeGaiso. Nathan Thurston. Hooray, one-shots! Thomas Carpenter. What up, man? Neftali Ramos is here. Sean DeGaiso says, woohoo, long time no see, Tim, on my end. Long time no see, man. So, we're going to jump right in here. This is how I do it, okay? So, to answer Haley, I'm going to weave the answers to your questions into some overall advice for running one-shots. Let's talk about very quickly what a one-shot is, right? To give you an idea, using something you're probably familiar with, if a D&D campaign is like a novel, a one-shot is like a short story. Let's just use that for the sake of simplicity. It's a single session. It's like single-serving D&D, if you're a Fight Club fan. But it's a single session of D&D or another role-playing game, any role-playing game, designed to tell a specific standalone story played in one sitting. That's what it is. Here's my process. This is my thought process. There are limitless ways to do this, but here's how I do it. So feel free to chime in. There is a chat. For the sake of the example, we're going to assume that this one-shot is going to last around 4 hours, which is my sweet spot for attention span and energy, and that's as a DM or a player. 4 hours is kind of my... James and I are on this kick right now, where we're trying out this style, basically called mission statement games, or mission statement game mastering. We did a video that we're going to post probably this weekend on this, but here's the basic idea, and we're going to start with this. It posits that if you don't decide what you're setting out to do, if you don't create a target you're trying to hit, you will always miss that target or never hit it as well as you could. And so the idea here is step 0 for this one-shot process is create a mission statement for the tone and feel of your one-shot. Now, this seems basic and overlooked, but I mean put it into words and write it down. I don't just mean, yeah, I kind of want to run like a Western game. That's fine, but I'm suggesting that if you say, I want to create a horror Western using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, that feels like a black comedy. Boom! Now you know what target you're trying to hit. This makes life way easier for you. So I want to create a blank using blank that feels blank. Right? I want to create a love story. It happens. Using the rules for advanced Dungeons & Dragons that feels Shakespearean. Boom! I get it. There's my framework. There's my mission statement. That's my target, right? I'm not going to just shoot blindly and hope I just kind of maybe hit a tone. No, we're going to decide what the tone is, and then we're going to go ahead and hit that tone. But this is the trick. This is the hack. This is the secret sauce. Without this, you're throwing floppy raw steaks at a bullseye. James Carney is here. Chris Wilhelm. Let's see here. Jacob North. Matt Click is here as well. Michael Barker is here as well. Woo! What up, party people? Neftali says, so one-shot's designed like a Numenera character. Never played Numenera. I trust that you're right. Chris Wilhelm. There's that elevator pitch again. Yeah, in fact, this kind of hit me. Chris Wilhelm taught me how to do a session 0, and we did a stream on that. The elevator pitch, or the focal point, is, I thought, this carries over to everything. And so, anyway, that's step 1. Now, every other thing we do has to run through the filter of that. So if that's step 0, here's step 1. You're writing a one-shot. Conjure a problem. This can be any problem, right? This can be anything. But remember, follow your mission statement. What problem would happen in your Shakespearean love story? Probably another love interest. That's the problem. Or a terminal illness, if Nicholas Sparks was in your mission statement. I'm half joking. There's no rules to what your mission statement can be. Your horror, western, black comedy, probably a tragic death that's sadly hilarious. Whatever the problem is, conjure a good one. So that's step 1. Conjure a problem. Step 2, simplify the ridiculous epic fantasy problem you just conjured. This isn't chapter 1 of book 1. This is a lean, mean one-shot. Zoom way in, okay? The hack to doing this is start as close to the end as possible. You don't want to be conjuring. You're like, okay, I have the enemy army invading, and a week before, it's like, no. My advice, at least starting out, is if you have the problem you've conjured in step 1, okay, an enemy army is invading, make it on the eve of the invasion, at the latest. You may even want to start with the enemies at the gates, like, they're doing that number. Don't start with the political intrigue that leads to the army marching, because you'll never get to the end. This is how trilogies are born. This is how... And if you're shooting for this, great. But if you're trying to go for that one-shot, that short story, singleness of effect, you've got to stay high and tight like a Marine haircut. So this is a huge mistake that most folks make right here. When they create the problem, they try to cram way too much into the one-shot. All right, let's check the chat. Now that's a tone I can get into. Nathan Thurston says, I also think that one-shots are only successful if the players are willing to accept the idea that this story starts A and ends with B. You can't buy a helicopter and explore the unknown. That's true, too. This kind of leads into the next thing, and I'm going to get into something that kind of solves that. Here's the step 3, all right? If step 0 is have a mission statement, step 1 is conjure a problem. Step 2 is, whoa, buddy, dial that problem back because you just wrote an epic fantasy plot. Step 3 is make one of your characters, or more, but definitely one, immediately and intimately tied to the problem you've conjured. The problem has to matter to the characters immediately, okay? You don't have time for neutral characters to kind of be won over to the cause. This is not your, the heroes come upon a city that's on the siege. You can run that, but it's not going to be a one-shot, and it's not going to be as interesting. You can't slow burn here. If the invading army is your conjured problem, one of the characters is on the wall, if not all of them. They're preparing for battle, or on the opposing side, maybe 2 or... There's all kinds of things you can do, but you need to make sure that the players, one or several, or all, are immediately and intimately tied to the problem. If you don't want them part of the army... Like I said, they're part of the... Oh, how about this? They're part of a village that the army is occupying to get to the city. It's nearby. It's close enough. It's immediate. It's fight or die, that kind of thing. But remember, this is a concentrated, potent one-shot. It's, in fact, one shot. It's one punch. You get to do one haymaker for impact. How hard are you going to hit the fair thing? Is the bell going to ring? Or are you going to look like a chump in front of your 1950s girlfriend? You got to think about that. Also, don't forget, all this stuff has to fit in your mission statement. You just decided before you began all this. So as you're thinking, well, how do I tie the characters to the problem? Well, again, what are we running? We're running Cthulhu Western. We're running Shakespearean circus jugglers. I don't know. Let's see here. Neftali says, so, in media res is like the default. Yes, very much like short stories. It is the default. Absolutely, yes, 100%. And the players have to kind of know this going in. Hey, this is a one-shot. It's a one-shot. This is the most important part of this particular character's story. This is their one thing. This is the only thing worth telling. And you might tell other ones, but this is that one time that one thing happened. You got to keep it there. Alessandro says, typical Seagal movie. A family member dies. Exactly, man. Boom, right there. Neftali says, now I'm thinking of One Punch Man. And Jacob Norman is here. Let's see. Jeremy Lilly. Howdy, everyone. All right. So step 3 is immediately tie the characters to the problem. Step 4 is, okay, seriously, make it simpler than you're thinking. Seriously. You can't have some big, long plot. We're working in 4 hours here. 4 hours with at least 4 players, maybe more. You can't go all Return of the King on me. You need to dial it in. And this is advice that I am taking myself. I'm slowly learning this. The things that you have planned after we discuss the problem will never fit in. One-shots need to be less complex than a campaign, and that's okay. That's how they're designed. It's the social contract. That's what we're doing here. Rob Coletta from Performance Check is here. Neftali says, you know Tim is serious when he's this on top of chat. Dude, right? And I had an energy drink. I'm all gassed up. Oh, woo! So, seriously, step 4, after you go through that, dial it back. Really take it to the most basic, simple premise. Matt Click of Fistful of Dice did a video. Occam's Razor. The simplest is the best. Do that, because the players will doll it up, I promise you. So then there's step 5. This directly ties into the question, because Haley said, is there a way that I can prepare the one-shots with physical, mental, and social components in limited prep time? Yes. Here's a basic thing that I've started doing. It works pretty well. Start here. You can tweak it from here as you need. It's the triangle. 1 social, 1 exploration, 1 combat, 3 basic concepts. That's it. You're not like, all right, and then I got this, and then I draw this arrow here, and it's like, no. She said, limited prep time. I have limited prep time. I'm doing this on my way to work. No, not on my way to work. I'm doing this in my car on my lunch from work. So this is what we're doing. For a one-shot, I'm prepping 3 challenges or encounters. Now, again, to me, I'm defining what she said, physical, mental, and social. I'm defining the physical as combat, just for the sake of ease, social as role play or character interaction, and then mental as skill challenges, puzzle, or any type of discovery. How do we do this? How in the world are we going to do this? This is the hard part. I'm stuck. What do I choose? Do the Matt Click method, put pieces on the board that match the mission statement. So the mission statement, game mastering says, okay, what do we need to put on the board as my 3 encounters? Well, what's your mission statement? What are you trying to achieve here? You have a limited amount of time, a limited amount of resources. So you want a swashbuckling pirate adventure that uses ghosts and feels like a Hollywood blockbuster, right? Very Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing. That means my 3 ingredients are, my 3 pieces. My mission statement says it has to be a pirate adventure, it has to be ghosts, and it has to be a Hollywood blockbuster. So let's think. So for the pirate adventure part, I want combat on a ship. Some kind of combat on a ship. So boom, there's one of my encounters. I'm going to make the ghosts my role-play encounter, okay? So, and then my Hollywood blockbuster part of my mission statement, let's do some skill type checks, like Dexy, strengthy kind of checks to make it across a crumbling bridge or roof or something like that. Let's take it to the chat. Occam's Razor Scooter. Matt. Barker quoting Matt. I read it out loud, makes it 10 times funnier. Matt Click said, he was a clown. She was a juggler. This summer, I saw you past the elephant poop. You know what? That's kismet. Matt, I know you so well that I just saw the first part of the first sentence and I knew to read it in a movie trailer voice. I love you. Nathan Thurston. Sign that check, Tim. All right. Did I do a check? Oops. Chris Wilhelm says, I'm really excited for the acrobatic combat scene when the 2 families fight. Neftali, fencing on chandeliers over a transdimensional Cthulhuan void for the love of your life. You got it. Jacob Norman. Tomb of the Mummy Lord. A classic dungeon crawl using 5e that feels like Tomb Raider meets the Mummy. Bam! That's a mission statement, baby boy. The players are given a secret motivation that gives them each a specific goal in the tomb. And then it has overall goals. Clear the tomb, Write the theme tune. Write the theme tune. Sing the theme tune. Rob Franklin joined. So, I'm working through here. I picked my mission statement. I conjured a problem. I simplified my ridiculous problem that I had in my brain. I tied my characters to the problem. Then I simplified it yet again. Then I chose the triangle. One social, one exploration, one combat. That's kind of the thing you have to do. Now, you can kind of also pick the order you want to make these things occur in and kind of pick, which one's going to be my climax. Combat doesn't have to go last, and the players are going to ruin your plan anyway. So it's going to go way differently than you expect. Just roll with it. But off the cuff, if I was running this, what I just mentioned, this, what did I say? Hollywood blockbuster, Pirates of the Caribbean Ghosts. I would run it combat first, big ship epic. Role play with the ghosts next, maybe to enter somewhere or get their help. And then the action set piece last. Now, we're crunched for time. So once I get those three things, this is if you have the time, and this could be on your commute or during showers or whatever, wherever you do your thinking, write down a couple of bullet points underneath these three encounters. All right, so for instance, for the role play with the ghosts, I would say the ghost is aware, but looks horrific. Maybe they're not malevolent. And then second ghost who is evil. Maybe there's a twin. I don't know. But that's it. And that's pretty much the whole thing. That's what you do in those steps. And then you just sit down and for 4 hours you see what your players latch onto. You see what they like, what directions they go in, how they use their characters, and then you kind of just play off of that from there. To me, if you really want to make it feel like a short story, I would say one final step that I'll actually include as a step is there should be a pivotal moment. The pivotal moment is where the characters have to make a choice that challenges them. So, to me, the world should be forcing itself on the characters. This isn't necessarily, this doesn't have to be as tied to the characters. To me, in a short story, it's typically tragic and it's unfortunate. Usually, it ends leaving more questions than it does give answers. And that's where people, I think, mess up with one-shots. They want this full character arc. You need to choose a mini character arc. So the way I would choose my ending, my climactic kind of ending to the adventure, that character who I tied immediately to the problem, we finished their arc only. That's it. And that's it. It's a one-shot. The other characters are involved, and they'll feel fulfilled, but that is what we're doing. And it's not their big goal of finding out who their dad was, It's the small goal of curing this festering wound in their ribs, something. You know what I mean? It's like, that's their kind of small problem if you really want to tie that up. But in step 3, whatever you tied them to, perhaps they have a brother on the other army. Perhaps they are being forced to fight against their will. Perhaps they're really good at fighting but hate doing it. Show that. Show that little arc. Show that kind of challenged or about to be challenged. Chris Wilhelm says, mission statement. Intrigue action using Stone Rift. Situation, the deep slum sickness is spreading. Each player is close with a victim who will die without the cure. That's it. And then to see the set pieces, watch my Stone Rift trilogy. There you go. Rob Franklin is here and Ben Buckner is here. But that's the concept. That is how you create a one-shot masterfully. It's mimicking and borrowing from short stories. We can't write one-shots like we write campaigns. It's much more contained. You got to be much more dense. Here are a couple other quick tips. Okay? These are just kind of bonus things, but if you do this will be games that people are like, yes, that was amazing. First, I'm going to say, Justin Rio. The other players won't feel jilted or shorted when one player gets a character arc wrapped up. It's not likely they can look forward to the next session for the spotlight. It's a one-shot. Exactly. Honestly, you have to kind of give each player a moment to shine, but really, it's about 1 or 2 characters. That's just... Take any one session of Matt Click's Provokers. All of us are tied in because we're joined together. But one of us has an arc every episode, at least. But not all 4 of us. There's just no way to fit it in there. And that's one of the big problems. People, I see one-shots, and they're trying to give this big moment in the sun to every character. If the game fits and you find a way to do that, awesome. Tell me how to do it. So far, I found that in 4 hours, you can have one major arc and one minor arc. That's it, pretty much. For it to not feel like, okay, quick, I got to jam this all in. This is also where pacing problems develop, because you just have this whole arc. It's one of these pieces. We do the exploration moment, and everybody's having a good time, and I'm like, oh man, I got to force in this such and such happening. And then you're running at the 3 hour mark. You're only 2 plots in out of 4, and the ending is nowhere in sight. So this is the social contract going in when playing a one-shot. It is just one of the characters is having a moment. This is the most important time of their life, and you are there affecting it. Look at, I will not spoil a single thing, but look at Rogue One. That's all I'll say. Look at other ensemble shows like Firefly. Everyone has a role, but not everyone has an arc every episode. That's all you're watching. One episode. Jeremy Lilly. Very much looking forward to playing that, Jacob. Yeah, man, I can't wait for Mummy Lord. So the bonus tips I talked about, I'll be quick, and I think we'll kind of end it there. We'll hit the chat for a little while, see if you guys have any other tips, and we'll go from there. Hey, Jaren D&D is here. One is start as close to the end as possible. I know that I mentioned that earlier, but really, 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 start as close to the end of this story as you can, right? That is a big deal when it's pacing and time. You think you're close? I'm starting pretty late. No, start later. Secondly, make awful things happen to the players. Make the worst things happen to the players. This is the most important story of their lives. It's a one-shot. You might play the characters again, but this is the time they lose their arm, they lose their leg, things happen, family members die. This is it. This is it. It's a short story. It's the one you're going to talk about. Make sure awful things happen. Don't be afraid to hold back. And then the final thing would be, it's a one-shot. Give the players as much information as possible, as soon as possible. There's no reason, unless something is purposefully to remain a mystery, obviously, get your players entirely up to speed on all the things they should know. Preferably, some of that needs to occur before the game starts. You will shave the first 42 to 45 minutes off of your one-shot. That is boring, weird exploration. If you just tell your players up front, here's the city you're in, you know it this way, you know the mayor, you know so-and-so, you know this person, you know that person. Keep mysteries a mystery, but give the players the basic information as upfront and direct as possible so they understand where they're at. I'm not trying to stumble around and figure out who the mayor is, and it's like, no. That's Mayor, Jonas Barnaby, and, he was a lycanthrope at one point. Everyone knows that. That is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. That way, when the characters start, because we're starting as close to the end as possible, we jump in, and I know how I would react to that mayor. Make it easy. Give it lean. This is a steak. This is a one-shot. We need to get right to the meat, and boom. Grady Cook is here. Chris Williams says, start strong for one-shots. A combat or intense scene gets them in and ready fast. Matt Click, there's something to do in Top Chef all the time. It's called amuse-bouche. How do you say that? I want to say amuse-bouche. And it's a single bite that contains a bunch of cohesive flavors and textures. A solid one-shot should sort of be a little RPG. Amuse-bouche. A perfect little simple bite. Matt, I love that. And how do you decide what flavors go in there? The mission statement. All of this stuff runs through the mission statement. And Matt knows this. Matt's a fantastic cook. Like, he's actually a cook. I can cook. Like, if we were stranded somewhere, I would get voted cook out of a lot of people that I know. But Matt would get voted cook, like, as a choice. Like, no, he's the cook. That was stupid. Sorry. Point is, he's a really good cook. So Matt knows about flavor profiles. He understands ingredients. He understands preparation. To me, this mission statement we're describing is choosing your flavor profile. When you are putting in, especially if the ingredients are more expensive and if the ingredients are potent, you have to make sure you don't put things in there that will affect or change the flavors. And so that is this mission statement. All these things run through the mission statement. If I'm building my encounters, and like we talked about, if it is a love story, The equivalent of a combat in a love story, if that's your flair, if that's what you're trying to do, is the love interest is there and is just winning. That's it. They're getting married. Like, that, to me, is a huge encounter. That wouldn't work in the pirate adventure. Neftali says, so what I'm getting from this is one-shots are hard-hitting, gamist-focused games, right? What do you consider a gamist-focused game? Because I could play, if do you mean like mechanics and crunchy? Doesn't necessarily have to be that. What do you mean? What is a gamist game? Define that for me. Locris, Dio Tanalpa's here, the planetoid himself. What's up, my brother? Locris says, got here late, psyched to absorb some knowledge from y'all geniuses. There's plenty of good stuff in the chat, and I just worked through 5.5, maybe 6 steps to making a one-shot. But I am going to really try doing this because this is all theoretical information that I've gathered. I've been watching games that I've run lately. I've been taking some time off. I've been like refilling the well, as they say. So for me, I've really just been listening to games that I have some distance on now. And I'm like, what don't I like about this? And this technique has come directly from me critiquing myself and saying, what do I want to change? That's what I want to change. I'm running campaigns like one-shots that are too long, and I'm running one-shots like campaign games. Let's see here. Alessandro says, if I get this one-shot like arcade games and in-game campaigns like a full AAA game, that flavor, the flair I'm getting seems like I get what you guys are going for, but it doesn't have to be surface. It could be an in-depth, gritty, psychological game. It's just one snippet. It's that bite that Matt was talking about. I was just reading Matt's chat. These can be, in fact, you know what? I want it to be a campaign, but if you want to take what started out trying to be a campaign, look at the Dragon Grin game Quietus. That is a one-shot that, if left right where it is, could be a short story. So these don't have to be like arcadey, jump around the action. If my mission statement is, I want to create a somber, psychological thriller using fate that feels like a David Fincher movie, that's it. You just have 4 hours to do it, and you have to design your encounters around it and leave all the fat at home, boys and girls. Chris Williams says, if you want to use alternate rules with homebrew, let them know up front. Yes, absolutely. Neftali, Matt, got that mice in place. Matt, can you cook? Yeah, if we get stranded on an island, I'd get voted cook. That's a weird way of saying yes. Trevor Richard says, first time, and dude, I've been bugging you too much about getting into D&D. I appreciate how much you've helped already. Awesome, man. Aaron says, finished my first session ahead of schedule last night. Progress. Dude, that's huge. That was huge for me, too, when I did that. That was epic. For me, it was just finishing on time. One of the Dragon Grin campaigns, I think it was the first session, I finished it in like a little over 4 hours, which I was like, yeah, victory! Anastasia's here. Neftali says, no, from what I've learned, gamist games are more focused on the awesomeness of the player characters. Then yes, a million jillion yes. I.e., the PCs are the best and only the big conflict if played out while the rest is mostly narrated by the player. I may be getting it wrong, but that's how I feel. That's the idea. That's the general idea, yes. It's a zoomed-in, super simplified, lean, mean story. Rob Coletta. Woo! Quietus. Fate is going to show up again, I'm sure of it. One of my all-time favorite characters that appeared in multiple games. When things cool down in 2017, I would like to continue the campaign in Dragon Grin. Alessandro, then I correct myself. One movie against a trilogy of movies. Yes, that's exactly what it is. This is, there's a George Clooney movie, and I can't remember what it's called. Not The Fixer. He's a fixer for a law firm. Is it called Michael? It's his name, I think. That's a one-shot. It's a long one, but it's like, that is one singleness of effect. That is that character's really important story. Anastasia says, can someone catch me up quickly? Not really. It's just someone asked how to make one-shots, and so I've laid out a 5.5-step process to do it really quickly and in a lean way. Alexander is here. Michael Clayton. Thank you, Barker. Michael Clayton. To me, that's a one-shot. You'd have to cut out some of the stuff, but that is that most important story. There's nothing really before it that matters, and there's nothing really after it that would make a great story. That lean bit in the middle, that marbled steak is what I'm looking for. Chris Williams says, sometimes I think of a one-shot as the villain story more than the PCs. It ends with them one way or another. That's a good way to put it. That's actually an interesting way. Anyway, what do you think? When you see this video, comment below, what did I miss? What do you do? And how do you make sure that your one-shots are on point? How do you keep them in the time frame? How do you set them up? What do you do and what are your tricks? That'll be it for me. Don't forget to check out AbsoluteTabletop.com. It's the holiday sale. Get yourself a beanie, and you too can look like Matt Click. Anyway, guys, love you so much. Until next time, may your dice roll high.